Alright, we're going to try to do, I'll do the best I can to show you. This video is for, I think it's Forney Rider. Asked me about the fuel line on, I was working on one of these, apparently it was brittle. So it was in the message, and I was wanting to know about the routing procedure on these. Now this one is a little different because this is an aftermarket carb. On the OEM carb, you had your two fuel lines that came out were, I believe, they was on the same side. This one's aftermarket, so they're on the opposite. And if you're running an aftermarket carb, a lot of times, like on this one, you can see the corner of this plastic where it goes on this way, where the choke lever is. A lot of times on them you have to trim it, which it doesn't hurt it. I just use a Dremel, trim them out, and then after you do, when your air filter's on, it just, it's everything still like comes through. It gets a little bit of fresh air around it, but I've never personally had an issue with it. I've done a few of them, but for him, let's I'll dig into it and show you. I already got, obviously, the top's off. I got the plastic, the air filter piece is out, and the side is off to access the primer. So we got our levers are still hooked up. Your throttle assembly, which I'm sure you already know that. There's your choke assembly. So we'll pull it out here and see if I can get you a better view of the fuel line diagram, I hope. The biggest issue I've ever had with them, it's not really an issue, it can be a little bit of a fight, is the lever that the linkage piece that comes down for the throttle. Can kind of be a bear sometimes. Everybody out there lighting off fireworks. 4th of July tomorrow. Let's see if we can get her to back out some here. So at least get you to show you the lines instead of taking forever here. Kind of can. This upper one, this, if it's picking up, this one happens to be black. It's our main fuel line. It's going to pop it loose. Get some tension off the carb here. Get the, come on buddy, there we go. Okay, so like I said, this carb, this is an aftermarket carb that most likely I got from HIPAA. So our main fuel line is on the top, and the opposite side at the bottom is where it runs for your primer and all that, where it recirculates through the carb. I believe the OEM went on this, they had them both on the same side of the carburetor instead of being the opposite. But in this one's case, the main fuel line, get you a look inside the jug here, or the plastic. That black line is the main fuel line. So the carb sets this way. The main fuel line, there's a hole right here in the case where it drops down and it goes underneath and comes up the opposite side of the carburetor to go into the top. And the bottom on this side, there's your high and low adjustments, and right beside it curves down, it comes out. That one runs to the primer, which will run to the short post of your primer. So it runs from the carb to the short post and goes from the long post, and down here on the right hand side of the plastic is where that line goes back in. And easiest way to do it, if you have your primers off or if you're putting a new one on it, purge ball primer, everybody calls them something different, but if you have a piece of old fuel line, just hook it onto the short prong. You can put your thumb on it and you can hear it. If it's picking it up, you can hear it pulling on it. So this is a short one. The short one pulls in, the long one pushes out. So that's exactly how it works. And so the long one will go into the tank. The short one pulls, it draws the fuel through the carburetor and then shoves it back into the tank, the access for when you go to prime it. Now the one thing you want to make sure is when you put your side case back on, is get it on there. If you're not familiar with it, just give the handle a little bit of a tug. Make sure you're setting good and flat and everything's engaged, and then put your screws in. But while you're at it, where you have all this off, you can see how dirty this one is from being used. It's a good time clean all that gunk out. Get up here. You can see the flywheel where it keeps everything cool. Up around your coil right here. It's a perfect opportunity to clean all that out. If you got a bunch of old, just like build up sawdust and oil and whatever, if you got in there, it's a good opportunity to clean all that out while you're at it. So I'm just going to leave this one apart so I can give it a good cleaning. But that's your fuel line routing for I'm saying that's for an aftermarket carb. Now, if you have the OEM style, it's the same concept. It's just I believe both prongs are on the same side. I just can't remember if they point to the left or to the right. But your upper one will be the main fuel line. Your lower one will run to the primer, and then from the primer back into the tank. But it's real easy to do. It can get confusing if you're not familiar with them. See, the biggest issue I've ever had out of them was because one of the biggest problems I'm always in a hurry is getting like the linkage, everything hooked up and put back in, and fighting with it. So, but that's it. But if you have an aftermarket carb, it should be just like this one here. You got your, like I was saying, you got your main fuel line, comes down and around, runs in on this side. This would be for your primer. Comes over, runs to the short post. Long post runs back to the tank. So, good luck. Hopefully it works for you. If you need any more help, just let me know. Thanks for watching. Happy 4th of July.